Greetings, students. Welcome to the very first statistics class of this semester. So in this small video lecture, we're going to discuss what is statistics. And this is going to be learning to speak the language of statistics. There's going to be a lot of vocabulary that I want you to be aware of and patient in learning. So first and foremost, a definition of statistics. What is it? So statistics deals with the collection, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. Well, what does that mean? That means that there's a process of statistics. So step one is identifying the research objective or question that you're interested in. What's the big idea you really want to dive into and know more about? And in order to do that, you need to collect some data to answer the questions that you have. Once you have that data, what do you do with it? Well, at that point, you need to describe the data. And we do that by organizing and summarizing it using descriptive statistical methods. And that's what we're going to discuss first in this class, and that will be the next video lecture. Now, before we get into that, we also are going to talk about what we're going to get into by the end of the semester, and that is inferential statistics, where we figure out information from a small group of people and are able to extend that to a larger group. But that comes at the end of the semester because those techniques are really more complicated and really utilize the tools of statistics that we'll learn early on. So when we talk about statistics, think of questions, right? There's who, what, where, when, why, and how. And all of these come into play throughout the process of doing statistics. So let's jump into the who, where, and when to start with. So here we have a picture of a whole large group of individuals. And when we have a large group of individuals or objects, if we're studying things instead of people, that's going to be our population. That's everybody. So anyone that could possibly be considered as part of our research question would be the population. Now, within those are individual people, right, or objects, and those are the individuals that we get data for. So each of the individuals will collect from to give us a subset or a sample from the population. It would be really hard to ask everybody a question or collect everyone's age or everyone's degree program. It's much easier to get a subset of that to do a study. And the subset has to be big enough to validate the findings. But again, we'll handle that later on the semester. But the main concept here is you have a large group of people, you ask individuals questions, and that gives you a subset of the population that will be your sample. Now the what, why, and how. So these are the methods of statistics. So we're going to talk about descriptive statistics first to organize and summarize the data. And that will be in numerical summaries like averages, which we call mean, standard deviations, and proportions are all going to be numerical summaries. In tables, we might have several variables that are related in some way. And in graphs, which are the visual displays of data. Then we'll move into, again, inferential statistics, where we use a sample to say something about a population. Of course, making sure that those results are reliable. Now, as we do this work, we're going to have two important things that relate when we do inferential statistics, and those are the parameter, which is a numerical summary of a population, or a statistic, which is a numerical summary of a sample. So the easy thing here is if we're talking about parameters, it's population, so they both begin with P. And when we talk about statistics, it's about a sample. And both of those begin with S. So it's really clear what we're discussing when. Now, drilling down into the data. So the data consists of several variables. And the variables, again, are possible values of characteristics of individuals, those individual people. And when we get enough of them, we have a sample. The types of variables consist of two, either qualitative or categorical, or quantitative. Now, the qualitative side, those are classifications of individuals based on attributes, hair color, eye color, borough that you come from, like Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, or even zip codes, right? Because zip codes, even though they're numeric, they state a location, which is a where, right? Not a measure. On the other hand, we have quantitative variables that are numerical, and they take on two forms. They can either be a count. So if it's a discrete variable with no decimals, such as number of textbooks, number of classes, that would fall under a discrete variable, whereas a continuous variable might be number of credits, because you might have partial credits, or GPA would be a continuous variable because it has decimals that can vary based on grades. And also height. Let's say height, you can measure down to finer and finer grades of measure. And that also is continuous. So that defines the different quantitative variables we have. So next up, we're going to do a couple examples. I'm going to pause here to give you a moment to rewind this tape and make sure you have the vocabulary, and then I will record the examples next. I'll see you at the next video.